Welcome to Imaging Alaska. My name is Ward Hinger. I am the Chief Administrative Officer for Alaska Radiology Associates and CEO for Imaging Associates. Imaging Associates is managed by Alaska Radiology Associates, managed by doctors for doctors. Today is going to be really interesting. I'm sitting here at this beautiful hybrid color studio in West Anchorage with my friend Kyle, founder. We've been partners since 2014. I just want to put in a plug for him. But today's going to be a little different with regards to not talking about a particular service line, product line, clinically speaking. We're going to talk about automation, AI, what everybody else is talking about. Today, to my right, I have J.W. Baker, who's my Director of IT for the Alaska region. Next to him is Laura Dittlinger. She is my Director of Business Intelligence. And next to her is Matthew Lowry. He is my Director of Guest Services. Good morning, team.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a fantastic morning. Laura, I'm going to start with you, my Director of Business Intelligence. When did we come up with that title?
I would actually defer to JW because he came up with the title.
He did. That was really good. JW. Good one. When was that?
Oh, over a year ago now, maybe?
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. So that was probably like January, February last year. Yeah. And what was really driving the necessity to start exploring business intelligence, I look at Matthew as our current Director of Guest Services. Post-COVID, 4 years, we were still having a very hard time finding entry-level workforce individuals who are willing to come in, learn the business, answer the phones, and start making scheduling appointments that are often complex and taxed. We were having a pretty decent job filling the middle and upper level management positions, but it was that entry level. And I think it was in November of 2025, Laura, I was sitting in my office quite distressed because just like any other, what I would say healthcare organization in Alaska, but in the entire U.S., everyone was struggling with the same thing.
Yeah. I think it was 2024.
Yeah, I meant 2024. Yeah. Time does fly,
it
doesn't it?
Truly does, yeah.
Yeah, it was November 2024, and I started thinking about who would be the right partners to really start exploring this. And I thought of Aegis, which is a well-known AI company in Florida. Ben is the founder of Aegis. Wish we would have him on here today, but he's traveling. I thought of Aegis, and I thought of, our current radiology information system provider, which is Royal Solutions Group. And then I thought, who could come in and help us make that transitory movement towards automation? What did that automation first start look and feel like to you as our new Director of Business Intelligence? What were the first couple steps you had to do? And I'm thinking of Baker Tilly, which was Moss Adams at the time. What were the first major hurdles that you had to overcome as you were the Director of Guest Services? You were now appointed as the Director of Business Intelligence, and you had this young guy come in behind you, Matthew, with his degree in psychology, which was really an interesting and intentional pick to help you with this transition. But can you talk about those early forming months?
Yeah, I think as an organization, we've always been super dedicated in having documented workflows. So we had a good launching pad, but it wasn't granular enough to be ingested into AI. So that was really where we started, was getting it down to almost like the minutia of the workflows, if you will. And then also changing them along the way. Is this still the most efficient path that we're on? Just because we've been doing it for so long, do we need to keep doing it? And then we found a lot of defects and inefficiencies within workflows that we had. So that's where we really started with Baker Tilly.
So we always were an organization that was Six Sigma, black belt kind of focus from a workflow process perspective, continued process improvement. But we wanted to do is bring in subject matter experts to validate that we were really following our own workflow, making updates as necessary, and then ingesting that into the large language model.
Yeah, and there was a lot of observation as well. Not just, our workflows are documented, but are people doing that?
Right.
What are the people doing?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of observation, and then getting, it's not just buy-in from them, but if you're going to revamp this, or is it going to work for them? What are you building towards? What are we building towards? So that's really where it started.
So part of this process was Laura working with Matthew. Matthew, how many exam codes do we currently have at Imaging Associates?
Probably somewhere around the ballpark of
960.
Yeah, 960. So Imaging Associates really focuses on subspecialized exams, brain CTs, MRIs of the brain, fMRIs of the brain, CT calcium scoring. We do all modalities: PET, MRI, ultrasound, X-ray, CT. So we have about 900 and some exam codes. And Laura, how did you, working with Matt, determine of the 900 which ones we should initially start focusing on automating? I think you picked around 600 and some of the 900. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's where we're at about now. We started at a much smaller number. We started with our modalities of CT and X-ray. So that was, I'd say, 30% of that 600 initially. And it was pretty small traction, seeing that can convert into true automation. So from there, we quickly launched into that full 600 within weeks.
So when you call Imaging Associates or any other radiology provider about patient imaging services, you schedule these exams. There's a lot of questions you have to ask on the front end, to, from insurance to medical history to service animal, et cetera. How many questions on average are asked, Matthew?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, it depends on the modality. Our MRI modality has a lot more safety questions, same with some contrast studies. But for like ultrasound and X-ray, there's not really a whole lot. A few basic ones that we ask, like maybe 4 or 5 that we ask for all exams. But for an MRI, it could get into like the 20s and 30s. So
there's a lot of variability by exam as to the types and number of questions and preoperative, postoperative instructions. Yeah, it's just a lot of that had going there, a lot of scripting for the patients.
Yeah,
Laura?
I mean, in the workflow audit, we found inefficiencies within screening questions. Either it was duplicative efforts, or which is just speaks to talk time, and how your patients probably feel like they've already answered it because they have in some other way. So we did reduce the number of screening questions that we were asking down by 20% on average.
Wow. So we're going to get to the end state as to how this really filled a void that we're currently not meeting. And that's basically answering the phones, right? A lot of our guests, we call our patients our guests at Imaging Associates. We're waiting on the phone for 10, 15 minutes for someone just to pick up the phone. And then once the phone was answered, it would take them about 7 to 8 minutes just to get through everything. And a lot of times they had to leave callbacks, and we were doing the best we could. And I think we were doing much better, but we were missing the opportunity to service a large number of patients each and every day. I'm going to scoot over to JW. Going to give him some attention here because he put a lot of work in this with you, Laura. Can you explain, before JW jumps in, can you explain exactly how you were working with him initially in the initial stages, with him and Aegis and Royal to develop the architectural structure of this?
Yeah, I think it was kind of just like a massive brain dump. Like, the sky is the limit. So from my point of view, this is what I want to do. Can we make that happen?
Right.
And he was kind of the brains, but I'd say behind that, the Trojan horse of the whole mission, really. Yeah.
So, JW, you want to talk about your early days? I'm talking January, February, March, maybe Q1 of last year. What was it like working with Aegis and Royal and just developing that architectural structure? Because you can explain to Alaskans, it's a little different in Alaska because we don't have the redundancy of internet network up here. So what do you have to do to ensure that full redundancy and continuity of service?
Right. The early days was a lot of architecture and system design because we brought on our own GPU infrastructure to GCI's data center where we have all of our infrastructure. So designing out new servers with H100 NVIDIA GPUs, that was a really fun project that allowed us to bring on our own LLM in the form of MetaLlama's LLM. So that provided us our on-prem solution that we could test against. It was all in-house, so we didn't have to worry about data sovereignty issues. We owned all the data. It was all encrypted, all on our infrastructure. We owned it. So it's a really good solution.
So that's an incredible heavy lift that you did with regards, I call it a forklift innovation, working with our different vendors and our partners out there. Specifically, can you explain to the audience how our large language models connect with the different applications? Like, let's start with our radiology information system. A lot of time people use APIs. What is an API?
An API is an application programming interface, is what it stands for. You can think of it as just another language that allows people to communicate with each other. So just like the English language allows English speakers to communicate what they're thinking, an API allows two disparate computer systems that are not native to each other to talk the same language.
That's incredible. And how many APIs have we developed already with Royal Solutions Group?
Oh, dozens. When we started out this project, we probably had maybe 20% of the APIs that we needed to do the full scope of where we are today. And it was a close collaboration with Royal to develop that remaining 80% of the APIs that we needed to actually accomplish what we've done.
And we're not over yet.
No, we're still actively developing.
That's so exciting. And so we have these APIs that we've designed, developed, and literally with one of the nation's most, I would say, Laura, prominent. Royal Solutions Group is probably the nation's most prominent radiology information system right now.
Yeah, especially in innovation.
They have hundreds of sites that they service. They had some other customers of theirs that were thinking about going down this lane, but we obviously quickly overcame that initiative that they were working on, and we became the national leaders in what we're doing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is quite mind-blowing, right, Matthew, that little old Imaging Associates in Anchorage, Alaska, would be leading the way on the large language model development, the automation of scheduling complicated outpatient subspecialized radiology appointments. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of places out there, they see what's happening and they know it's coming, but they're more or less waiting for a product to come off the shelf and they're just going to buy it. No one's doing it like us. Like we're creating it from scratch, and we're working on it step by step to identify what areas would give us the most utility, improve the guest experience the most, and just make it as seamless as possible. So when we're creating it like this, we're creating something that's so much more well-rounded than something that would be off the product or off the shelf, just a product that you're going to buy. Like they're just going to do scheduling, but we're factoring in all the individual little questions and all of the different little things that's going to make our lives easier as the team, but also improve the patient experience at the end of the day.
I often hear of other healthcare organizations in Alaska, outside of Alaska. Oh yeah, we're using AI to, schedule or answer the phone. But what we're doing is much more advanced. Like you said, we don't go to the shelf and pull it off the shelf because there would not be any easy plug and play. This has just not been developed yet. Nationally and globally. I mean, I've even heard people in Australia that are interested in the work that we're doing, which is quite fascinating. So it's not off the shelf. And I also would say, JW, developing products in a laboratory that's not the real laboratory, that's like sterile and doesn't really have all the mess of being in the real world environment. I really think that really what set us apart in developing this initiative, which is now Protostar Radiology Solutions, is that we actually made it in the kitchen where everything's going on. It's like it's in a real world environment. It's not in a fake lab someplace. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of products. I go back to 2009. I go back to the development of electronic medical records. I'm that old. Working with Governor Parnell, that was a big thing to roll out electronic medical records in the state of Alaska. And what we quickly discovered is that a lot of these EMRs were developed in these sterile labs. They didn't develop it in the medical office itself. So they weren't sitting down with the doctors and the nurses and the medical assistants and getting their day-to-day feedback and input on developing the algorithms, the workflow, and the scripting that you guys did in what I would call is best-in-class outpatient imaging. We've been told by a lot of outside organizations from Lower 48 Imaging Associates is best-in-class. So we've literally developed this automated solution in a best-in-class environment. And I think that really sets us apart. JW, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the laboratory that you're describing is absolutely essential. The amount of customization that we're doing on a daily basis is incredible. We find a problem, and 2 days later, we've rolled out a new code base to fix that very issue or implement the new feature. So we can move from rapid prototyping to production in matters of days.
Fascinating. I'm really excited where this is going. So right now, of the 600 and some codes that we've given to our agents, so we have 2 agents right now. We have Orbity and Jane. Yes, these are characters associated with the Jetsons project, right? The Jetsons, which again goes back to the 1960s, my favorite decade. Just kidding. The 70s were. But I really, really was interested in Orbity. Do you want to explain Orbity, Laura, as to what its purpose and function is as an agent?
Yeah. So back to Matthew's point about guests, our guests are, when you look at the full value stream of what we're building, all of our guests are impacted. So that's our referring community of referring providers, the patients themselves, and then the staff that interact with it. So we're really building all of these agents to really build around that concept, if you will, of what a guest is. Mm-hmm. Orbity is it's an IVR, so it's
what's an IVR?
It's a voice recognized phone tree.
Okay.
Versus an ACD where you listen to a prompt and you punch in buttons to get where you're trying to go. So with that, it's got key phrases. So if you're a patient, what patient path can I go down to get to the most appropriate queue? And it builds efficiency in because patients aren't left really guessing, like, did I select the right key? I mean, we've all looped in a phone tree before, and then they have to transfer you to someone else. So that's really what we're looking.
That's called the death spiral.
Looking to that was what we were setting out to do, is make it more efficient and leave the guest work out of the caller, and then we would really be handling that on the back end. To your point, of course, how we plan for something or someone to interact with it is different than how people actually will. You can think of 1,000 ways predict how someone will use it, and they'll use it different. So we're learning real time from that daily, or that's not how they used it. Oh my gosh, let's fix that really quick. Like, people did not like that, because you don't want to work in a silo or get blinders on to the work you're doing. You want to hear it from the real world.
So instead of having an old-fashioned operator where it's like, thank you, welcome to Imaging. So there's no wait time, because before that, people could have waited 10 minutes just to hear a voice.
Yeah.
Now it's instantaneous. They call, somebody's on, and instead of punching buttons, you talk to it, to just Orbity,
like conversationally, if you wanted to.
My name is Jane, your virtual assistant. Are we canceling or scheduling a new appointment?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I've had such good positive feedback from very sophisticated guests of ours lately. They were amazed with it. At what point in time is the guest, the patient, then transferred over to Agent Jane?
So if they used key phrases like confirming an appointment, schedule, reschedule, anything that would take you down a path of reconciling an appointment you have or are looking to make, you would be transferred instantly. The experience is seamless. We've chosen to keep one voice.
What voice is that? It's not your voice. Is that Google Voice?
It's Google.
It's Google Voice right now.
Aronimi, I think, is her name, but I could be wrong.
That's really cool. And when he says right now, what's beautiful about our platform is that if a better voice becomes available,
totally plug and play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. It was genius in how you designed that, JW.
Yeah, and it's really helpful because we're caching. So when it comes to voice transcription, if you live on a certain street name that maybe the LLM hasn't had to transcribe before, it might sound clunky the first time, and then it's teaching itself, okay, I need to pronounce that better the next time. So it's continually self-learning. Sorry, side tangent on that, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah, really great. So right now, of the 600 and some exam codes, and that's still a lot, right? 600. It takes a long time to train people to be proficient at scheduling 600 and some exam codes. We went live in November with Agent Jane, and right now I'm thinking we're close to 40%.
Yeah.
So of the 600 and some, 40% are being scheduled start to finish without any human intervention at all. Wow. And the average phone time, wait time on the phone, or the time taken to schedule an appointment, Matthew, went from what to what?
From start to finish, from like the time you start engaging with Jane to the end of the call, I would say it probably dropped around 2 minutes overall.
2 minutes. Boy, in 2 minutes, you just sit there and be silent and watch your stopwatch for 2 minutes. It's a long time. So shaving 2 minutes off a call is important for our guests. So everything just kind of sped up on efficiency because Agent Jane didn't have to stumble or ask the supervisor a question, et cetera, et cetera. What happens if the patient or the guests, as they're talking to Agent Jane, they've answered the question, they're like, I just want to talk to a rep. What happens then?
Yeah, we made the decision to not get people stuck or
People
feel
don't like being stuck.
They don't.
I hate being stuck.
And I think we've all been there where, well, you didn't have a choice in it, and now I just hate it more.
Yeah.
And so we're really trying to work.
So we didn't force
No.
adaptability, and that's where a lot of people in lower 48 were like, you guys could have a better conversion rate if you just like push your patients. Like, that's not our style at Imaging Associates. Go ahead.
So you at any point in the call, you need to state your name and your date of birth because that still provides like a patient lookup that's beneficial to the live agent that would take over your call. But you can ask it at any time, and you don't need to repeat questions once you're transferred to a live agent.
So there's a handoff that takes place. So Agent Jane understands that our guest, our patient, like, I just want to talk to a human being. Okay, got it. But everything that was set up to that point is not lost.
No.
It's converted.
Yeah, in several ways. There's the transcription itself, so the back and forth dialogue that you had with the LLM.
Right.
But then also if you went through screening questions, like the buttons that a human would actually press to save the information, yes, I have this history or otherwise, is also saved and posted back through an API.
Wow. So when a human being does answer the phone, everything's there. And it's a seamless handoff. That's wonderful. And it saves us time. Because even though it was transferred, it still saved us, the human talent at Imaging Associates, time in collecting the information on those questions. Wow. What % of the exams that we schedule, I wonder if JW knows this answer, he might, actually have some type of error? When the human is involved from start to finish, there's a lot of complexities in there, right? What % of the exams do you think have some type of error? It could be quite egregious, like, gosh, they scheduled the patient at the wrong day at the wrong time, right? The wrong place. What would you guess that to be?
30% has some form of defect.
Yeah. And that's industry standard. What % of the ones that Agent Jane takes from start to finish have a deficiency?
There aren't deficiencies.
That's quite incredible. So not only do I save time using Agent Jane in scheduling a complicated subspecialized radiology exam, but I basically eliminate any potential of an error in that scheduling process, which results in less cancellations, Matthew?
Yeah, well, also less manual effort to go back and fix it. Because currently, if there's a scheduling mistake, we have to manually call a patient. We have to investigate it first, and then we also have to provide a little bit more training to that individual. So there's a lot more manual effort that's actually, we don't have to do that when it's fixed the right time or fixed the first time.
Right. Wow. So we're at 38, 40% now of conversion rate. And where do we expect to be by November?
85 or higher.
85 or higher.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, again, this is filling what a friend of ours uses transactional tasks, right? The mundane tasks in an organization that a lot of people are like, I really don't want to do that. And it's quite stressful at times because there's a lot of complications involved in that. It fills that void that we haven't been able to hire for, but then it allows us to hire individuals at more middle, upper management to have a better human touch, Matthew, for the patient, for the guest. You want to explain that?
Yeah, so a big part of our automation initiatives is not, we really like to stress that we're not trying to replace the human touch or replace anyone. We're not putting anyone out of a job. We're not letting anyone go. Imaging Associates, we have an amazing team, an amazing culture, and we're planning to keep that, even with the rise of automation. So to do so, we are trying to automate some of the more mundane and monotonous tasks of the day. So just handling, we can get 500 to 700 phone calls a day. And there's a lot more that go into it. Like we could see 300 to 400 orders a day, and we have to have each of those get reviewed. And we have to make sure the prep is accurate. There's a lot of manual effort that goes into there. And so the more we can automate with the predictable and the day-to-day stuff, the more we can automate of the day-to-day, the monotonous and just the tedious tasks that are predictable, the more we could focus our team on the human touch. So really going above and beyond, driving that connection, getting to know our patients a little bit more, and then giving them a little bit more of the wow factor, the unbelievable experience that we're trying to give our guests.
Oh, that's so well said. I just love that. In fact, I think you have more FTEs now on the front end of our business than we've ever had, or full-time equivalents. And that's a good thing. And they're more middle management, upper management type supervisory positions to help ensure the quality of the human touch. We can also expend those resources in hiring what we call breast care coordinators, clinical staff, nurses, and PAs that can actually be with the patient and help them navigate their journey in healthcare. So over a year ago, we started off with the Jetson Project. It was a cute little name. Love the animation, the characters. I think Kyle can even throw in a little video on this one. It's kind of cute.
We're calling this the Jetsons Project, which is pretty namesake to the cartoon show.
We decided to use the Jetsons characters to name as agents.
What is that thing?
Came out with Orbity as our first agent that oversees answering the phones.
You mean Orbity? He's a friend of mine. For friend?
The vast majority of our X-rays and CTs will be taken care of automatically by Agent Jane.
Jane, darling, don't you look lovely? How do you do it?
Agent Jane is a smart agent that takes the workload off of our guest service reps to get back to what's important.
It's sure nice to have some peace and quiet for a change.
And back to you, JW, and the architectural construct that you did is quite phenomenal. We have a beautiful picture of that as well that we can share with our audience. But when we launched in November, the Jetson Project was finished, and we launched basically a new startup company, whether we knew it or not, Protostar Radiology Solutions. How do we come up with Protostar, JW?
I think that was all you.
Oh,
Yeah, you and Jim.
yeah. You didn't like it originally?
There were versions before that I didn't like. We landed on Protostar, and I can get there.
What is a
Got there.
Protostar?
A bright new star.
It's a bright new star, kind of like that. So Protostar Radiology Solutions. And this is a doing business as right now, but will definitely be grown into its own subsidiary LLC of Imogen Associates. I'm very excited about where we're at and then where we're going. And JW, there's other applications out there, like our human resource application, Pay Northwest. We have QuickBooks for accounting. We have different applications out there that we want this large language model tied into as well. I often envision sitting around the conference room table with my wonderful young superstar leaders and actually having Agent Eve, who I've already created an avatar for, be part of our conversations and help us, guide us in our discussions, in our strategy, both at the high level and tactical level. And having instant access to our radiology information system, our HR system, our accounting system, the clarity that we can have in moment-by-moment discussions will really catapult our organization into a whole new level of efficiency and, I would say, a supersonic speed that we've never had before. I also see most of our employees having conversations with agents throughout the day to make them more efficient and effective in what they do. If they didn't fully remember the preoperative instructions for a bladder study, a bladder exam, they can ask Agent Jane, and Agent Jane will tell them instantaneously and perfectly every time. So the timeline on getting there, JW, do you think Agent Eve, which will have the master control of all the other agents, be able to talk to us by the end of this year? Is that a possibility?
I think that's a very real possibility. The power of AI is growing exponentially right now. The main limiting factor now is not the AI's capability or its power, but it's access to data.
And you have business associate agreements with different AI platforms out there. You want to explain that?
Yes. So we have BAAs with XAI and with ChatGPT.
And then we also have a leadership subscription to XAI in which we're all in the same conference room and we can share documents, we can communicate and use XAI right now in helping us be more efficient in our daily tasks.
Yes. So when these large language model chatbot style models first came out, they were kind of one-on-one where you had access to a chat style functionality with ChatGPT or Grok, and you could communicate to it, ask it questions, basically like a glorified search engine. Now, with our business subscription, we can go a step further. We can start integrating data into the conversation, and we can integrate our own conversations and share our own conversations and data with each other as a team so that we can all glean insight from each other's conversations that we're having.
And tell me how important, as leadership team, critical thinking and prompt engineering is.
It's even more critical now than ever. It's critical thinking has always been a absolutely essential skill set. AI does not change that whatsoever. It actually makes it more important because the AI is susceptible to hallucinations, especially where it is deficient in access to data, because it at the end of the day, it's a model that someone is selling, and it has no value if it's providing no answers. And so when it's lacking the data to provide a clear and concise answer to somebody, it will hallucinate, and it will try and make something up that sounds good to the ear and is convincing. So we need to have our critical thinking caps on to suss out whether or not what the AI is telling us is true and accurate.
Yeah, fascinating. So Protostar Radiology Solutions started off by making our guests, our patients' experience more pleasant, faster, more accurate, so they can get in timely for best-in-class diagnostic services. But it's expanding into helping management as well be more effective, efficient. And this is going to be applicable to any outpatient imaging center. We have outpatient imaging centers right now in what we call in Alaska, the lower 48, that are very interested in our solutions that we develop, Protostar Radiology Solution, and we may be expanding quickly outside the state. So when it comes to everything else we do, we just stay in the state of Alaska. It's a beautiful place to be. But this wonderful solution product is going to be sellable to other outpatient imaging centers nationwide, and they can't wait. We cover a lot of information for our Alaska audience and beyond with regard to Protostar Radiology Solutions. I'm very, very super excited about the future and where this is all going to go. I can't wait to come back to Hybrid Color Studio to do a part 2 and maybe a part 3 and share with you firsthand some of this wonderful automation that we're doing. Elon Musk has always been inspiring. That's why we have a BA with XAI. His innovations on SpaceX and Neuralink and all of the different things that he's working on is very inspiring to us. Optimus is one of them.
I think it's going to be the biggest product of all time by far. That's a pretty wild concept to say, okay, Optimus will actually eliminate poverty. Optimus will actually give people incredible medical care.
Whether the world is ready for it or not, robotics is here. And I look at Matthew, he shares a lot of this excitement with me as well. We've been watching a lot of the video footage of Optimus, this current state. It's quite incredible. I mean, it's skateboarding down a mall. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could skateboard down a mall. But I foresee a day here soon, and I'm assuming that could be by the end of Q1 next year, we could have Optimus integrated at Image & Associates. How does that look and feel without losing the human touch, Matthew?
I mean, we're going to have to see how it's going to play out. Like, I think the sky's the limit, and it's not going to be replacing the human experience like what we're saying. It's going to supplement it. And so I think when I think of Optimus, it reminds me of the 11 Madison Park and Unreasonable Hospitality, how they have so many different initiatives that they're doing to go above and beyond for their guests that come in for their food. And I had a friend that went there recently, and when he came in, they looked up all of his stuff beforehand. They greeted him by name. It was his first time there. They greeted him by name. They knew all of the stuff about what he was what he was coming in for, what he does for work, and where he was from. They were asking him how Alaska is. And then when they order drinks, for example, the waitress or the waiter has sign language that tells them someone else what their drink order is. Before they even leave the table, they already deliver the drink that they ordered.
Wow.
And so giving those little small touches throughout the entire patient experience, I think that's going to be a lot more accessible to us with Optimus. And how it's going to look, it's only time will tell, but the sky's the limit.
So Optimus will be actually part of our network, right? It'll be wirelessly connected to our secure network. It'll have access to our radiology information system. It'll be able to facially recognize, facial recognition is already here, and greet people by name, open the door for them, provide some level of security possibly, and again, free up our staff so our staff can be asking our guests, would you like to have some water, coffee, tea, and just converse and be part and spend time, that human connection, just enhance the human connection. I like that a lot. So Optimus 2027, it's coming, and we're going to beta test it, and we'll see what our guests think of it. If they love it, we're going to expand on it. If they're not too warm about it, we can just gently back away. All right. Well, the three of you are wonderful. Thank you so much for this opportunity. The future is bright.
Imaging Alaska, expert radiology, exceptional care.